With new number 1 demons constantly one-upping each other in terms of difficulty, it is becoming harder and harder to build a level that is organically capable of topping the demon list. Because of this, creators are caught between a rock and a hard place, trying to decide whether they want a new top 1 or whether they want to make an enjoyable level. There doesn't seem to be any happy middle ground. This leaves hosts with a difficult choice. They can either nerf their projects into oblivion, like Zynvire did with Silent Circles in an attempt to make it fun to play, keyword being attempt, or they can enlist their friendly neighborhood 5-year-old Geometry Dash player to sacrifice anything resembling quality and turning it into a little Timmy silent level. But what if I told you that this doesn't have to be the case? It is possible to build the hardest level in GD without the experience of beating it becoming completely insufferable. But how can you make a layout that plays well and still find a way to squeeze adequate difficulty into a 1.5-minute long level? The answer? You don't. You make the level longer. Now that I've introduced the topic, allow me to establish what I'm going to be doing with this video. I'm going to spend the next couple of minutes explaining the potential of longer top 1s. After that, I will discuss whether or not these make for better levels than your run-of-the-mill top 1s. So what do I mean by long top 1s? Well, I'm referring to upcoming hardest demons that would be considered as XXL. If you weren't aware, XXL is an unofficial length category referring to a level that is over 3 minutes long. Most of these projects aren't extensively long, 3 to 4 minutes is typical. Many, however, go above and beyond, extending into 5-minute, 6-minute, and 7-minute territory and beyond. What sets these examples apart from their shorter counterparts is that they have a completely different skill set to them. Demons like Koareta, Wazareta, Slaughterhouse, and Succupant Circles have less than a minute of gameplay to work with, and so this 50-second stretch becomes a gauntlet of tight gameplay, fast inputs, muscle memory, and frame perfect. The same applies to levels between 1 and 2 minutes long, but to a lesser extent, and while I've never beaten a level remotely close to this difficulty, I think it's safe to assume that this is not an optimal level of enjoyability. XXL demons, however, are not the same. It is not feasible for someone to beat a 6-minute long level where each part is similar in difficulty to a part in, say, Slaughterhouse. Gameplay creators have to take a different approach here. If they only add a quarter of the difficulty to individual parts, as there would be in other number 1 demons, but quadruple the amount of parts, the difficulty evens out, even becoming slightly harder due to endurance. This creates a completely different experience for potential victors. Rather than grinding 5 seconds of gameplay for 2 hours in practice mode, they could spend the same amount of time learning entire sections and maybe even a full minute of gameplay. This seems like it would be way more fun, even though the amount of time spent learning is more or less the same. And when it comes to playing from zero, that's fresh too, as things like muscle memory become less important than endurance and nerve control. In theory, this sounds infinitely better than a short number 1 demon. However, that's in a perfect world, which this isn't. Existing long top 1s suffer from imperfections and glaring issues in the gameplay that are actually made worse by the level's length. These can be broken down into 3 main problems: lag, poor balancing, and choke points. One thing inherent to longer levels is that they have more objects, and more objects equals more lag. It's not a good feeling when you're halfway through a 5-minute level and you die to a light spike! And while LDMs do exist, these sometimes aren't enough to counteract the problem and make levels playable on all devices. At this point, the only way to fix the issue would be to turn it into a layout, which raises questions about whether or not playing on such copies should be considered legitimate. The next bane of XXL demons is imbalanced gameplay. The more parts you have, the more likely it is that some will be harder than others. This is demonstrated by levels like Artificial Ascent and Zodiac, leading to people dying over and over to the same part, then getting past it and dying to the next exact same part, making the level seem tedious and boring. And as if dying to the same part wasn't bad enough, how about dying to the same jump? Choke points, the more there are, can be enough to ruin the level. Imagine getting to the last 10 seconds of an 8-minute long demon, then dying to the same bug or tricky timing several times. And the thing is, with longer levels, there are more opportunities for bugs and difficulty spikes to occur, which can lead to an absolute nightmare. I've now gone over the pros and cons of longer extreme demons, and so it's time to deliberate and decide on whether or not they are superior to their shorter counterparts. When done right, they are miles ahead of the competition due to their superior builds. However, they are almost always plagued by imperfections that are exacerbated by their length, issues that, while present in shorter top ones as well, are less of a problem. However, despite their flaws, I still believe long top 1s to be the superior levels, going off of the opinions of players like Nepesta on levels such as Zodiac, Ocular Miracle, and Freedom 08. By building in this style, the creators of levels such as Galaxy Collapse and Ascension to Heaven can make the levels so much better than if they were to simply build a minute of frame perfect. If you want to learn more about upcoming top 1s, I'd recommend you check out my video, Will Silent Club Set be the hardest level ever verified? If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more like it, as well as sharing your thoughts with me in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching.